Yeah. Guess who it is? Ayo, Dre, I think they in trouble. Woo! Scott Storch, why you have to do it like this to him? Feels like a new day. Listen, now every time I come in, I hit you niggas with shit. Regardless, you get retarded and the niggas ain't got a clue on how the fuck I do what I do and say what I say and spit what I spit. You ain't never even got a question who. Cause you know that I'm the only nigga that could ever come and spitefully turn the place into a motherfucking zoo. Then I come in, I spit crazy shit and make niggas do exactly what I want them to. From my point of view, instead of trying to step up, you're still trying to play catch up and keep up with the way a nigga grew. These niggas panic and fret and get schizophrenic and let their emotions out, and I doubt they could ever test my crew. Take a second, check it, I reckon my records are better than whatever record you recorded, that's why your shit is true. You fucking idiot, I don't think you get it, I'm one of the greatest ever, period, every syllable is true. Now if you ain't running, you ain't handicapping your vision, I think it's simple and I think that it's really plain to see. No matter how much you try, no matter how much you make an effort, you niggas can never ever really fuck with me. Cause I'll hurt you, and I will learn you a thing or two. And I'll hurt you, and I'll finish your career for you. I'll
sit on a mic and do my doodle. You do not have a fighting chance to move. You were covered in my poo-poo, smothered in my manure while I spit saliva fluid. Goop secluded you. You don't have a clue as to what we're about to do you? So just sit back and watch something you just gon' happen to watch. So you just made me sneeze, I'm allergic to beats like these. Please excuse me, my allergies are acting up, thanks all I've got. You're probably wondering why there's thunder and everyone is running and ducking up under everything up on the block. Cause bust a flip mode just tiptoed into the building with Shady quietly trying not to start a riot with Doc. But since we always spotted, we might as well have a party. So gather round everybody, come on, let's get our drink on. And you ain't got to do nothing special for this occasion. Just reach in your closet, pull something on and get to the club.
Now if you ain't running, you ain't handicapping your vision, I think it's simple and I think that it's really plain to see. No matter how much you try, no matter how much you make an effort, you niggas can never ever really fuck with me. Cause I'll hurt you, and I will learn you a thing or two. And I'll hurt you, and I'll finish your career for you. I'll catch you niggas and snatch you niggas, you bunch of bumbling fools. You got me rumbling dudes all the way down the block. Keep them stumbling and jumbling over their words and vowels. Don't win the towel, say you niggas is on the clock. And you running out of time, see I'm tired of all your mumbling, the nigga, I got it locked. Every single time you put my shit in the CD player and turn up the volume, you bang your head because the shit is not. I continue with crumbling niggas and tumbling niggas. You struggle while I humble a nigga with the Glock. Then I watch you while I keep a fumbling while I got you trembling for one of my niggas. Bust your head with a rock before I start to do another thing and to make you crown me the king with such a butter swing, nigga, follow the flock. Now watch my brother bring all my diamonds to summer bling while I'm climbing and fuck a fling. Tell your bitch to get off my job. Now if you ain't running, you ain't handicapping your vision, I think it's simple and I think that it's really plain to see. No matter how much you try, no matter how much you make an effort, you niggas can never ever really fuck with me. Cause I'll hurt you, and I will learn you a thing or two. And I'll hurt you, and I'll finish your career for you.
Testing. 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 Testing.
Testing.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
Hold on a second, Nap. They're blocking your voice. Hold on a second. Nap. Nap. Nah, can't hear you, bro. Hold on a second. They're messing with the audio. Hold on. Hold on. Nap. Yo, Nap. All right, do me a solid. Call back in. Hang up and call back in. Hello. Okay, I could hear you, but you're not coming out on the call. Hold on.
Hold on.
Testing.
Testing.
Okay.
Okay. You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Hold on a second.
Hold on a second, though.
Testing.
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 Testing. I will go through this again. This is RTTI in New York City. Tuning in with Nappy Head Boots. Also in the building, having some technical difficulties as y'all already get here. No worries, we're gonna still push through as we always do and make things continuously happen every weekend, bringing it to you live. We got a good segment coming up towards the end of the call. It's gonna be like the third segment. Nigel Nicholson is gonna be reading some fire articles, and I will be adding the links within the description box so people could check them out and see for themselves where they're coming from, and the proof behind them to verify everything. Right now, we're just going to go right into the first segment with Nappy Head Roots. Gonna document his targeting. We had some technical difficulties, but we're back on. No worries. We fall off the horse, dust ourselves off, get back on and ride. That's what we do here. Nappy, whenever you're ready, got the floor, bro.
So, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So lately in this targeting since last week, they've they've interfered with my vehicle. Where I had to get the alternator I had to get the alternator replaced. I don't know if they did the alternator through some type of technology, or if they can actually get to it from the van. I don't know all that, but the tow truck driver did tell me like somebody was intentionally, messing with the underneath of my van. So, yeah, we got some noise campaign, but yeah, so since that, it took me like 3 days before I actually got it on the road, and that whole fucking 3 days, man, was fucking them just swarming around me and fucking with me to the fullest, like, and now that it's up and running again, man, these motherfuckers is wild, man. They're trying to entrap me. They're using actual vehicles. They're using people. They just got done sending the police to fucking trying to entrap me. It's just all bad, man. It's all bad, but at the same time, they're pushing through, like, what they do. Don't hang up. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, I'm hearing that. What's up?
Oh, okay. It sounds like the phone. Did you guys hear me?
I heard you, man. We got you. It's just me and you right now, and a few other listeners and shit. So don't worry, man. We still on. I'll let you know if it gets cut off or something like that.
I can barely hear you.
How about now? Can you hear me?
Barely.
Okay, so they're doing something to the phone, man. You already know that. You know what I mean? Just continue on what you were doing, bro.
Yeah, man. So that's pretty much it, man. As far as all that shit, like I'm hanging in there, man. But it's like they're seriously trying to trap a motherfucking life. See a game, see a fucking. And the people that ask for it, like, that's legitimate. Yeah, and all that playing on your end.
You already know.
So, yeah, man, sending people to try and buy fake drugs and, all types of shit, man. And it's like, I mean, come on, man. I don't fucking sell drugs. And even if I did, man, like, you motherfuckers stick out like sore thumbs. People don't fucking come and fucking ask for drugs every fucking 5 minutes. That's it, like, it's crazy how these people are fucking getting down, man. Like they're creating crime, bro. Literally creating crime. because there's not enough crime now. It's like they're trying to create that shit. And if you're a targeted individual and fall into one of their traps, fuck, man, I feel sorry for you.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I totally understand where you're coming from with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, as far as them trying to create crime and shit like that, police are very famous for doing shit like that, orchestrating certain things to go down in order to bring about certain things. You know what I mean? So you're definitely on the money when it comes down to that. You know what I'm saying? If they do that with the gang stalking, you know what I mean? Like, as far as orchestrating, when they organize stalk us, they obviously have a hand in doing that too. You know what I'm saying? Unlimited resources to do all these things, man. So, you know, most definitely something that I don't doubt at all that they do. Other than that, man, you know, you had shared a few videos that you uploaded recently, man. What's been one of the ones that you put last that you would say is not something that you get a lot of? You know what I'm saying? If you do get it, it's not often where you get it.
The actual police coming up to the traffic.
Right, that's what I figured, man. That's what I figured. I figured, let me ask him though, anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, actual police is turned down for probably like two. The last two, not really. I said about the last two cars, definitely, and because of police. And, you know, they've been doing it in the cars, of course, but, like, I can't tell a regular citizen from a police in the car and shit that, you know, on the street, level, on the corner and all that shit, walking around and shit, you know, they're having the police actually, try and, you know, set me up. And it's because, I know it's because I caught this dude, I caught him letting the air out my tire and shit, and I fucking hit him with my skateboard. I got a skateboard in the back, and I hit him with the fucking skateboard. And it's shit, you know, anybody that's been doing shit like that, doing it when I go to the inside the store, they're doing it like when I'm, you know, not paying attention. I'm either asleep or I'm in the store, and then, you know, besides bullshit, but, you know, they're not, well, they probably will after this fucking call, but they haven't been, you know, walking around my van and shit while I'm recycling and shit. So, like, the police, they're sending the police to actually come out and try and fucking do this shit now.
Right. So what else been going on there, like, over there where you at now, other than the stuff you've already documented? By the way, I'm going to add the latest videos that you put up. I'm going to add them within the description box on this call so people can check them out, man.
Yeah, that's up, bro. I'm gonna see what I can do, man. I gotta look around, but I'm gonna see if I could try and find somebody to get work with me on a case, like on police entrapment. Like, I'm not gonna make some things talking and no shit.
Right. Right. I hear that, man. Most definitely a good idea, man, to do something like that. No question. You've been thinking about doing something like that for a while now or what?
I mean, I have, but, you know, I wasn't on the entrapment thing. I was just more like the fucking, you know, the domestic terrorism, but, like, it's gotta, I think what you gotta do is you gotta fight this shit, like, on you can't think gang stalking and fighting and shit. Like, when you come out of lawyer and shit, you can't, if you expect them to work for you and shit, like, you can't mix the fucking gang stuff, and I don't think that. I think you have to, even if, because they're going to find out essentially that you think stuff once the people get at it, but, you know, the prior questions and shit, the questions before they actually connect with whoever's going to fucking turn them around and steer them around, if that's even a possibility that can be done. Like, some people might be legitimate and not give a fuck about them, you know, trying to pull their way. But, yeah, man, definitely something I've been thinking about, just not on that fucking page.
One thing that I would definitely agree with you on is the whole thing about mentioning even that word, man, gang stalking. That word was created by the CIA to automatically discredit us genuine EI/TIs off the back. Because when people hear that word, they start assuming if they don't know about it, that gang stalking. What is it, gangs of stalkers and shit like that? Remember, there was a hit job done on one of the TIs from New York City. I think his name was Timothy Trespass, and I know you know him. They did an article on him, and what the article was a hit job. A hit job meaning it was done purposely to discredit TIs. You know what I'm saying? And what they headlined it was, he sees gangs of stalkers. So that right there proves that theory of it being created by the CIA is not a theory, it's a fact. You know what I'm saying? And people need to call it and address it for what it is, which is organized stalking or contract stalking or proxy stalking, stalking by proxy. Those are the correct terms to use. Surveillance role players for the perpetrators, you know, we call them perps for short, but their real term is surveillance role players. You know what I mean? But what you were saying was, in general, to bring up organized stalking or bring up contract stalking or stalking by proxy wouldn't be a good idea to begin with, because it complicates things off the back and it makes things look and sound delusional or even crazy. Even though we know it exists, we know that it's real, but it's something that you feel you could hold back on and use something other than that to prove your case to start off with, like the obvious patterns of harassment. Am I correct, Nap? What?
Right. It's probably what it is, like, you know, police trying to entrapment, police entrapment, they're using their fucking informants, their junkies and shit. And, you know, they have to, like, if there wasn't an undercover operation, I understand this motherfucker had a person that he wanted to at the most 3 times, but, you know, constantly over and over for years and shit, like, that's it. I mean, that's complete fucking arrest. And then they see that I fucking go to the cycle place there, man, all the time, every day. Yeah, they watch every fucking transaction I make if I'm selling something on the internet. So, you know, there's no reason in the world for them to think I'm selling drugs. If they're going to have people coming to me and people to fucking set me up or fucking, you know, make it look like, hey. You know, that's the only thing it could do is to set me up. They know I'm not doing nothing. They know I'm not doing nothing illegal. So.
Right. What they do is they try to set you up to look like you were doing something illegal by having these snitch-ass niggas and these fucking government informants and confidential informants out there doing shit to try to set you up to look like you are.
Right. For instance, perfect example. Last night, I'm chilling, you feel me, rolling up a blunt, and somebody comes and gives me, like, or fucking gives me, but he's standing by my fucking window, and he pulls out fucking $3 bills. And, you know, from far away, a car that's filming and somebody's filming that shit, They don't know how much that is. That could be 300. That could be a combination of fucking 20s and 10s or whatever. And anyways, he said he had $3 bills up. And he was like, hey, can I give you $3 for a cigarette? You know, and if I would have given him that cigarette, I would have recorded giving him that cigarette, and that camera's not going to pick up me giving him a cigarette. It's just going to see us making that transaction. You feel me? And, you know, these are the fucking tactics that they're using to try and make it, you know, to try and set a motherfucker up, man. Like, and it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Like, literally, like, it's like, I'm not telling nobody shit as far as cigarettes and shit like that, though, but, you know, like, if I was to, like, before I would literally have to fucking, you know, hold the cigarette up in the fucking air so all the fucking cameras catch it and fucking extend my arm real fucking slow down and fucking, you know, pass the cigarette to do, but make sure that we exchange at the same time the money for the cigarette. It's fucking crazy. Like, to sell a cigarette, it would literally take me like 5 fucking minutes just to make the transaction, so I could make sure all the fucking cameras saw me selling a fucking cigarette and not the real.
Yo, I hear you, man. But that's how you gotta do it, you know what I mean? It just, the way the circumstances are, you gotta do it that way. In order to make sure motherfuckers don't try to make it look like you did it and have some sort of illusion to make it seem like you did. I mean, so I got you, man. Sometimes it's better to just play the whole shit out, even if it takes longer, as long as you look, you know, completely innocent from doing anything like that. Because a constant struggle with us is trying to avoid setups and entrapment, so you gotta be thinking ahead of the game when it comes down to shit like that. So that's smart that you're doing that, man. At this point, I'd like to welcome Not a Thunder from the UK. He's in the building. Going into the second segment now. Hey, whenever you're ready, you got the floor, man.
Alright, so I don't really have any articles or anything tonight. I just thought I'd go over my I didn't realise it was recording. I think I'm a bit late, possibly. I don't know, but yeah, man, it's pretty much the same stuff that's been going on. They've backed off with the police. I haven't had any more police coming back, but they've been targeting me still, man. They've basically been kind of doing it in a more subtle and stealthy approach. So I've been noticing a lot of same time exit entry again. As soon as I go to the door, the neighbours will be leaving in a car or arriving in a car. So you know what the technology is. This is how they do it. You know, it's a tactic. You know, yeah, mad honking. I don't know who that is. I hear honking on the phone. But yeah, so you know they do that stuff. They're using the technology. You know, often I'd get like an urge to look out the window, and then there'd be someone coming down. You know, so apart from that, similar tactics, sirens, a lot of car honking today, thinking certain things when the car will honk. You know, the remote neural monitoring. Other times I'll come out the door, the car will honk as soon as I come out the door. Stuff like that, really, you know, to let me know that I'm being monitored and surveilled. But apart from that, they're being more sneaky with the sirens. They've not been as, you know, like I said, they've not been as blatant with that. I think they're a bit worried about the exposure concerning the emergency services. So they've been resorting to using the civilian perpetrators, specifically on the streets and also, you know, in the house next door to me. They've been using them a lot. So, you know, one of the things they start doing again is having like this fake ass party every Saturday night. Saturday night they have it, and you know there'll be rowdiness and loud music and all this shit. So you know I play my own music to cover it over, so I don't have to hear it. You know, this is all a way to try and disturb your peace. You know, lot of noise campaign as well. You know, that's one of the main things. But using alternate sources. So I've been getting a lot of construction noise, a lot of sanders, a lot of grinding noises. You know, power drills, pneumatic drills. You know, people banging things. I've been having a lot of people bang things outside where I live. So this is all the noise campaign and how they try to disturb your peace. You know, the other day there was like really loud sawing on. I think they were cutting some trees down. It was just ridiculously loud. So, you know, you're constantly exposed to noise, whether it's sirens, drills, any way they, you know, a lot of revving as well. So any way they can make noise, they'll use as a way to try and damage you. You know, because it does damage you if you're constantly exposed. It can damage your health. Being exposed to noise excessive periods of time, and they know this, so this is one of the tactics they use to try and, you know, take away your comfort and your peace of living. So yeah. On top of that, they've been they were running a lot of online abuse and, you know, funny comments with me. You know, I just block them all. You know, all this bullshit. So, yeah, it's mostly the same kind of tactics, pretty much. Bit of directed energy as well, you know, feeling strange feelings, my head aching a little bit, and stuff like that. Another thing to note, last night there was this weird humming noise. I don't know if that's related to these perps, but, you know, I've had people saying they're hearing like a humming noise. Not TIs, but, you know, genuine people. And I heard that last night, so I believe that's something to do with the EMFs in the atmosphere or interfering with the earth and creating, like, it sounds like a transformer. You know, the humming noise a power transformer makes? It was a bit like that, but slightly higher pitch. But I heard that. But yeah, that's pretty much what's been going on. There may be some things I missed, but, you know, if we get bombarded with so much, it's sometimes we forget things that have happened. Yeah, in the UK, there's, I don't know if this is some kind of psyop, but we had this guy, we had another knife rampage, so I think it was in Birmingham. You know, a load of people apparently been stabbed, someone got killed. So I don't know, but, you know, something was fishy about it, so I'll have to do more research on that. But yeah, there's, you know, also the virus here has been increasing again, so we've got nearly 3,000 cases a day now, so I think the next lockdown will not be too long, because it looks like the cases are increasing a lot. So yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Can't think of anything else really to talk about. So,
alright then. Thanks for sharing, Nate, man. Appreciate your input as always, your documentation. Nappy, you still on, bro? If you unmute yourself, wanted to ask if you got anything else you want to say or add on. I think they already got to Nappy, man. They must have muted his mic on the other end. Yeah. Nap, if you can hear me, call back in, man. Okay, there you go. Yeah, just wanted to ask if you have anything else that you want to say to add on.
Shit, man, just know, you know, everybody that's also targeted. Try and keep your head on top of your head, man. So, these people are going through some, like, very fucking, they're going through some serious bullshit and working hard, like, overtime. It's just the best thing. So yeah, that's it.
Appreciate you, Nap, as always, man. You guys give me a second. I'm going to try to reach out to Nigel real quick, bring him back on, and we're going to continue from there.
nothing to do with me or them. So they basically hacked that to pay for a bike or something. So, you know, I think they did that because I recently got a new bike because my electric bike broke. So they were trying to make it look like I did it. But yeah, I forgot. I knew there was something I'd forgot.
Yeah, give me a second, mate. You're going to have to repeat that whole thing again, Nate, because when I got back on, you were already halfway through there. Just repeat the whole thing so we can get the whole thing on there.
Yeah. Basically, they hacked my family's bank account. Because I got my e-bike recently broke, so I got a new bike, and £60 had gone out of their account to a bike company somewhere down south. I think it was Wrexham or somewhere like that, I don't know. But basically, you know, I think they did that to make it look like I'd hacked the account or something like that. Or to try and make it look like it was related to the bike, you know, I'd got, I don't know, but pretty much, yeah, £60 went out of their account. I know it was these people that did it. Funnily enough, right, the neighbours near me got some new kiddie bikes, so I wouldn't be surprised if these motherfuckers basically bought them those bikes, because you know how these perps get, you know, these kind of new cars and all this bullshit. So I wouldn't be surprised if they got them those bikes, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was like
They probably did. They probably did.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, they recently got like these new kiddies bikes, and like the kiddies bike would be cheaper than, you know, because a bike for a full-size person is going to be like £100 at least, or maybe 80 at the cheapest, but like £60, you know. And then they got these new like kind of like little, they look like dirt bikes, but you know they're pedal bikes.
Yeah.
But I think that's
At this point, man, I'd like to welcome Nigel Nicholson in the building. He got the third and final segment. You got some articles from what I understand. These are the ones that I was telling you all that I'm going to fire. Nigel, whenever you're ready, you got the floor, bro.
I'm going to let Nigel finish speaking. And
I'm pretty much done that. No, it was just something I forgot, you know. I said it was what I was going through earlier, so yeah, man, you can
all right, well, you know, thank you guys. You know, what can I say, right? You gotta keep doing it, and you know, exposing them for what that they're doing, without a doubt. But you know, my week has been pretty rough. You know, I went to the doctor. You know, so they hooked me up to a heart monitor. I have to wait for a couple of days. And I went there. I had explained to the doctor. I said, you know, I was early on during the week. This was last Monday. I was sitting down on the couch, and I had like a headache, a migraine, you know, what they call ice pick headache. And the pain from the top of my head traveled all the way down to the right side of my body, all the way down to my legs. And that shit hurt. I mean, it hurt really, really bad. And so I was explaining that to her. And, you know, it's kind of weird because she gave me a heart monitor. I mean, you know, my blood pressure is high also. And so I got to cut back on the salt. And, you know, I don't know why they put me on the heart monitor. She didn't tell me. She didn't explain to me. But, you know, I mean, I took a test. I think they were checking my cardiovascular system. You know, so I just seen that, and I think it like a sensor that through your neck, you know, check your veins, make sure that your blood is pumping correctly. So I guess when I go back there, you know, I'll find out. And on top of that, too, you're supposed to put this thing on a certain. Hold on a second.
Yo, pardon me, y'all. Nappy, I don't know if that's you, brother. If you could do me a solid and mute your background. Nigel, go ahead, bro.
Yes.
That was probably Nappy's mistake, man.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, you know, that's what I say. So when
when I go back, I'll have to, you know, I'll find out. You know what I'm saying? But you know, in terms of my target, I'm saying, you know, I mean, they start doing a lot of bullshit. You know, started to use. I was telling RT this week, you know, Pants Block. I did a video where they had this NYPD floodlight at the corner of Pants Block. You know, this was like this was, you know, earlier during the week, and performance was good.
No.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I was having, yeah, so, you know, it's the same. But I want to get into the article, and then we'll talk about some of my target afterwards, which is this article that I sent to RT during the week. Also, California just passed a law which they say, right? Now, yeah, what? That passed a law that says that is now legal, right? It's now legal for adults to sleep with a minor if the minor consents. Okay. So, I mean, that's another thing too, right? California just passed a law, and it says that the person they have to be a 10-year difference, right? And so the person is like 25, they can sleep with a 15-year-old. Okay.
I was about to ask if you could repeat the thing you just said. So I'm glad you repeated it.
Yeah,
because I wasn't sure I was hearing the right thing. Wow.
Yeah. Let me shit, where did I? I'm not sure if I. Okay, I think I forgot the. Let me search it out right now. It's somebody had posted it on Facebook. And let me see, I usually report some of this stuff. But it's kind of ridiculous, man. But you know, I mean, hey, California, you know, look what happened a few years ago with Charlie Sheen. Remember, he had HIV and he was sleeping with other people, and where then it used to be before that it used to be a crime if you have HIV and no only slept with other people. But after he came out and said that, about a month later, they passed a law in California that said that you cannot be held, you cannot be criminally charged for withholding you have HIV if you sleep with somebody. Okay? So there's a lot of shit that's going on in California that you know, I think it's because a lot of these people in Hollywood they have that shit down. You know, without protection and shit like that. So they you know, so that they pass that shit around to each other. And so they passed that law. Okay? That's when they passed the law.
Talk about fucking sign of the times, huh?
Yeah, man.
To hear that shit is just buck wow. It's almost like unbelievable. Totally believe it under the circumstances, the way shit has been going.
Okay, so here it is. Okay, so what it is that the law says that this new California bill would lower penalties for adults who have sexual relations with a minor. Okay? So it says here, it says a new bill headed to Governor Gavin Newsom's desk would lower penalties for adults who have consensual sex with a minor if the offender is within 10 years of age with the victim. Okay? SB 145 passed in both houses of the state legislature late Monday evening. If signed into law, a 24-year-old could have sexual relation with a 15-year-old child without being required to register as a sex offender. Right? Under the current law, it would be illegal for an adult to have consensual sex with a teenager between 14 and 17 years old who cannot legally give consent. Vaginal intercourse between the two does not require the offender to be listed on state sex offender registry. As long as the offender is within 10 years of age of the minor. Instead, it has the discretion to decide based on the fact of the case whether the sex offender registration is warranted. Other forms of intercourse, such as oral or anal intercourse, require sex offender registration. So they can have oral sex with a minor and be registered as a sex offender or anal sex, but vaginal intercourse. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this shit is just out of hand, man. You know, but California, like I said, a lot of these people in Hollywood, because of the whole pedophilia shit, you know what I'm saying, that they're running around operating in California, you know, so they're giving these, especially some of these, you know, with these stars, you know, these Hollywood stars, their sons and their daughters, you know, that this is geared towards protecting them. Okay? You know, you have these high school football, not high school, but, you know, like these college athletes, right, who have sex with high school teenagers, you know what I'm saying, so that, you know, that they get a lesser penalty, you know what I'm saying? And not also that, but if they have intercourse, they may not be required to register, but if they have oral sex or, you know, because this shit don't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you study that oral sex is what, far worse than having vaginal intercourse with a minor? You know what I'm saying? Shit don't make no sense. So it's just saying that the people who have these laws, man, they just like out of their damn mind. They're out of their goddamn mind. But, you know, it is what it is, right? You know, but again, it's going to come, listen, this is going to, I mean, in certain states, it's totally legal for adults to have sex with minors. You know, people seem to forget that. So yeah, you see, the thing is that people are going to be outraged about this stuff, which they should be, right? But yet, there are states in the United States that allow adults to have sex with minors because the age of sexual consent in some of those states is 13. Right? So, you know, I mean, I'm not surprised by California, but again, I'm surprised that people are more upset with this California thing, right? As opposed to, you know, all the other states that have allowed adults to have sex with minors for decades now. Okay, and a lot of those states still have the age of consent to be 13 years old or 15 years old. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we have to get mad and angry about all of that, right? Not just California. Okay, and you know, it's crazy because now what happens now is that also a lot of these pedophiles, right, are now who are, again, you know, they have money, they're bribing these state legislators. Because now they want to, they're now saying that, you know, they're trying to classify pedophilia as being like LGBT, right? You know, trying to put themselves in those type of movements. You know, so you know, this you just got to pay attention and understand what's really going on. But again, you know, like I said, you also have a lot of these conservative Republican states that the age of consent to have sex with a minor is 13 or even 15, right? So don't let them, they're always pushing some of because the state like California, which is a big state and it's a democratic state, right? And again, they're wrong for doing this shit, okay? But there are states in the Midwest, in the South, that allow adults to have sex with minors because the age of consent is not 18 as it is here in New York or somewhere else, right? It is 13, 15, I think something is 16, okay? So, if you're going to, like I tell myself, you guys are going to get mad about that, which you have every right to, but let's call out those other states, these so-called, the ones they call the Bible Belt states, right? Pretty low, right? So that's something that we, again, that's, sometimes they try to pull the wool over people's eyes, but, we have to have a broader range, All right, so the first article, which I'm going to talk about, which kind of like, kind of, what I talked about with the pedophilia, again, it deals with police officers, right? And people, particularly these persons out there who, they're listening to this call, right? Who belong to this something called, form and created by, certain members of law enforcement. And the fact that how kind of feeding against targeted individuals, against pedophilia, something like that, right? But, when you look at these things, you look at the psychological program and how they try to project, how they try to create their narrative of who they claim that you are, and it's all orchestrated and perpetrated by them on you, right? When you think about it, when you look about it, like people who are projectionists are usually the very same people who try to convince other people that you're a similar, right? So in Boston, there's a former police union president, okay, who just got arrested for, guess what? Child sexual abuse, okay? And this is from the Boston.com, which is a news agency there. And it says a former president of the Boston Police Women's Association allegedly sexually assaulted a family member in a series of incidents at the time the girl was 7 to 12 years old, prosecutors said Thursday. Patrick M. Rosie, Sr., 66, faces a slew of charges, including rape and abuse of a child aggravated by age difference, enticement of children, disseminating obscene manner to a minor, open and gross lewdness, and 5 counts of indecent assault and battery on a child under the age of 14, according to the criminal complaint on file at the West Roxbury Division of Boston Municipal Court. Judge Kathleen Coffey ordered Borley held on $100,000 bail. Okay, $100,000 bail, right? Why? Because he was the president of the police association. And I guarantee, if it was anybody else, they're not getting out of jail. All right, they're not setting no bond. They'd be in hell without bond, right? But again, it's just to show you how police, now even when they do some of the most outrageous and things and act in the most obscene and outrageous conduct, that somehow they still get the benefit of the doubt, right? So it says bail was set to $100,000 and set several conditions for his release. If he posts bail, which requires him to stay away from the victim, surrender his firearm and license to carry, surrender his passport with his GPS monitor device, and have no unsupervised contact with children under the age of 16. So I guess probably in Boston, the age of consent in Boston is 16 years old. Okay? Because again, he can be around children that's 16 on up, right? But under 16, he can't. And it's just and it's not just this case, because they're not just this incident, but he has many more incidents against him. Okay, so but these are the people who are, who these people hold in these perps or have you hold in high regard because they're members of the police department or they're members of the church or what have you, right? And this is the shit that they get away with, and they do. Yeah, he got arrested, right? But guess what? He's out because obviously he's gonna post bail, right? Whereas anybody else that would have done that, they wouldn't even get that opportunity to even have bail. Right? So when police commit serious crime, and this is what we as PIs have to understand. That because I hear chance talk, even now they're like, some of the police are like, the police are not involved. They try to figure out what's being done. I'm like, no. Police are involved. Okay? If you look at the history, like you're saying, this is how important that we understand history and we learn history, not just about history of the world, but history of the police organization, right? History of the CIA, history of the FBI, history of these top law enforcement, history of the military, right? Because when they want to spread whatever, negative propaganda about you, the TI, okay, it is based off of a lot of it is based off of how they've conditioned you. And then they say, okay, well, look at this person's history. This person is in and out of mental institutions. They go back and they look at all your history, and then they present it to whoever it is they presented it to, and those in the community, and then they judge you and they say, okay, well, yeah. You need to participate in this, right? Whether they want to say that you're a threat, what have you, that's what they do. But it's all orchestrated and created by them. Okay? So that's why when we tell the truth, we tell the truth about them, that's the truth. When they want to tell whatever they want to tell their narrative, it is a narrative that they constructed, right? Using various methods, using various psychological tricks, using people who they paid, right? But their history is on record. Okay? So, and that's it. Like I said, we have to use the tools that they use against us if we're able to, right? Some of it we're not able to because we don't have the resources. Okay? But if they want to spread false propaganda against you, you spread the truth about them. Because what you're talking about who they are, who they really are, is the truth. And it's documented. Right? So again, that's how we they weaponize whatever it is against us. We have to weaponize the truth against them. Okay? So again, here's an example, and these are not, and he's not just the only one. Okay? There are many police officers, even within the department. I think I had read the article on this show maybe a couple months ago about police in Florida. They were all part of a pedophile and prostitution ring. You have police officers involved, you have doctors involved, you have people in the child protective services involved, right? These people are well organized, well funded, okay? And while they're out there arresting, so-called pedophiles and murderers and all this stuff, they're the ones that are, imagine that you sending a pedophile to arrest a pedophile. Okay? Because that's what's happening. Right? That is exactly what's happening. We have to, people in America really have to think differently, okay? Think critically, and really look at these police officers, look at these police associations, okay? With their scrutiny, because they scrutinize us for shit that they've created, shit that they manipulate, and they're liars. It's plain and simple as that. They are liars. They are liars. We can prove cops are liars. So why do people still have this affinity towards police officers? even as a black person, right? I hear a lot of black people say, "Oh yeah, we trust the police. We don't defund them. You don't have to defund the police." When people say defund the police, they're not saying defund the police as in terms of not give the police any money. What they're saying is that the police have an extraordinary amount of money that they get in their budget, and so they abuse it. They'll buy, for example, police officers are being sent to Israel to train, right? Not also that, but police are buying surveillance technology from Israel and other places. Okay, buying software that can hack into people's computers, what have you. Okay, buying military technology that can see through walls. Okay, buying radar technology or X-ray technology that they can put in a vehicle and drive around and see through people's cars. Okay, not also that. Okay, buying illegal tech and using it on people, such as microchips, and implanting it on people, right? On top of that, okay, so if you get arrested, they'll take your DNA. You could be arrested for assault. They'll take your DNA. It's not like they get arrested for a sexual assault. Fighting, physical, fighting, or you could be arrested for whatever. They're taking your DNA without any probable cause or without any accusation of you sexually assaulting anybody, so they can try to match the DNA, what have you. They're not doing that. Okay? They're taking. That's why the what is it? Ancestry.com. Okay? They were giving people's DNA to the FBI and police department. And when they got caught, what do? This private equity firm comes in, buys the company. Why did they do that? Because now that police have been, now that police have been caught in terms of them and Ancestry.com having this relationship where they can go and get somebody's DNA without a warrant. So after they got caught, now they have to go and get a warrant. So guess what happened? They contacted this private equity firm by Ancestry.com, and now, right, that private equity firm that bought Ancestry.com can now give them the DNA of anybody within that registry. Okay, and the police don't need a warrant for that now. They'll find ways to circumvent and to sidestep the law that they claim to protect, right? The law that they claim to follow. It's a different set of rules. Okay, and we have to always understand this as people. So we're not shocked when we hear these things is happening. This is a different set of rules. And we, the people, have to start electing people who we know are going to follow the law, are not going to abuse their authority. But it's very hard because those that are ingrained within the police department or within the high-ups in the law enforcement agency, whether it be here in the U.S. or within the UK, okay, they have set their people in positions where if they know that anybody thinks different from them, that if you have people within their department who are whistleblowers, who are not participating in the criminality that the rest of them are participating in, they will find ways to get rid of them. If they can't turn them and let them become criminal with badges, because that's how they control them, right? They can commit criminal acts, violate people's rights, they get away with it, But at any time, they can, if that person step out of line, they can say, well, you know what? Okay, you have these videos of you. We're going to charge you with assault and violating this person's right. They find ways, and it reminds me of that. If you ever watch Spider-Man Into the No, this is which Spider? This is not Spider-Man. Sorry, Marvel Defenders. Okay, Marvel Defenders, particularly where you had Wilson Fisk, right? Who they call the Kingpin, and what he does. What he does is that he sets up people, politicians, sets them up, take pictures or record them, sort of drug them and stuff like that, and then uses that to gain power. Right? It's the same thing a lot of these groups do in the police department. That's why when these persons participate in this criminal act against us, they're not told what they're doing is criminal. Okay? But once they get into participating in it, now they have control over them. Right? Because now they become a criminal organization who are conspiring against the rights of certain individuals. And the law that says conspiracy against rights is what can be applied to them in court. Right? And the penalty for that is 10 years in prison, a fine, and even longer if it results in a person dying. So what they have done is that they have criminalized people, and in order to control them, this is part of their agenda. There's that speech about JFK talking about that the secret organization that's planning to enslave every man, woman, and child on this planet. People listen to that speech and don't think nothing of it, right? Because again, they only think on the surface. They don't think critically. They don't see things, more than 5 feet in front of them, right? That's why they're so easily manipulated, right? You look at Trump supporters. Look at Trump supporters. Trump, as much shit that he done and he said, they still support him, right? Veterans groups, you hear some veterans groups talking about now, we don't support him because of what he said about the dead soldiers of World War I. You shouldn't have been supporting him in the first place. Look what his administration has done to veterans group and also the VA. Okay? But these same people will still support this man. So what does that say about the mindset of people in this country? A lot of them, not all, but a lot of them, right? And then on top of that, he's been getting a lot of support from, black men, which it's shocking to me. It's shocking to me. But I understand why, because I see a lot of them posting a lot of stuff that has been falsely stated. It's Russia. Russia's involved in this also. And people are not able to discern and disseminate truth from lies. It's very hard. Okay? And no one can disseminate it 100%, particularly in this day and age. Right? But if you're above 80% in terms of being able to disseminate the truth from the lies, that's very, very good. Because they have the majority of Americans today sounding like goddamn conspiracy theorists. That's why I laugh at them when they want to talk about, and they'll tell me, oh, you sound like a conspiracy theorist, and I go on their page and they post all kind of stupid shit. I'm just like, oh, and I'm a conspiracy theorist? But here's my document to prove what I said. Where's yours? Where's yours? And then they'll send me to some website, some fake website, right? And I look at them, I say, okay, but the website you send it to is fake. Okay? So what do you say? So again, when you have, and really true, I think we as TIs, we're probably the most sane people on this planet, right? Because again, we understand based on our experience, and we do our research and we understand what should be happening, particularly psychological aspect of it, as well as the aspect of it. When the shit is out there and nobody else, and the so-called sane people don't even want to know about it. So are they really sane? Right? Are they just so afraid of the truth that it's too hard for them to comprehend or even accept. The scheme with the Matrix. He's like, I hate this reality. I'm gonna go back into the Matrix. You rather go back knowing you've seen what the reality is, knowing that someday that humanity is going to be wiped out, but you still want to go back into the Matrix. Instead of fighting, you might not live, I might not live, right? And so instead of fighting, so future generations have got the Trinity, which our ancestors done in the past. You know what I'm saying? Black or white. People fight against injustice. They die because of injustice happening. And I get it. Nobody wants to die. I get it. But there comes a point in your life where it's like, as particularly, I'm speaking for me, being a TI, I have kids, you know what I'm saying? And knowing that if I don't teach my children the truth about what's really happening, you know what I'm saying? Then I feel as a parent, because I'll send them out in the world, as a sheep amongst the wolves. You know what I'm saying? And so what I want to teach them is to hunt the wolves, right? To protect themselves against the wolf, and to also protect the other sheep from the wolf. And this is how we have to be, as PIs. That's what we have to spread this information, because we definitely.
I just want to add this real quick before I forget. You said something earlier that's very true as well. All the stuff that you were stating in regards to the police, man, and how they lie to us and lie to everyone in general and get away with it. From what I understand, when I was caught up in the system, man, I found out while I was locked up. Not only while I was locked up, it was confirmed born there, because I pulled it up when I was in the law library. But when I was out, people would have conversations in regards to certain things that the police can get away with and stuff like that. And I remember someone jumped out and said, the police have a clause or some sort of technicality through the law that they can lie to you and get away with it. In other words,
yes,
they could have some sort of interview with you and they can lie to you and say, oh, no, you're not going to jail. We're just going to ask you a couple of questions, that sort of shit. And they can get away with that. You know what I'm saying? They can lie and say, no, you're not getting in any trouble, blah, 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 blah. But you are, but they're trying to steer you away from that thought so that way you will lower your guard and, cooperate with them or force a confession out of you, even though you didn't really do anything.
Right.
I don't know if anyone's heard of something like that in regards to the police being able to lie to you through a technicality, like they are actually sanctioned through the state.
Oh, yes. Listen. There's an article I'm going to pull up, and I'm going to read that too. You know what I'm saying? And what you just said. That article is exactly about that. And I had reposted on Facebook, so I'm not sure the page. I'm going to pull it up.
All right, what's up?
Yeah.
Do me a solid and send it to me when you're done.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So, and again, here's another article. Again, this is about police union and the power that they have, right? And this is from the website motherjones.com, and it talks about literally, this is the headline. This says the infuriating history of why police unions have so much power. Okay, and they do, right? So it says, as the year 1990 came to an end, a fight broke out during a New Year's Eve celebration at a jukebox Saturday night bar in downtown Minneapolis. A 21-year-old white student grabbed Michael Shuro from behind. Shuro, an off-duty white police officer working as a bouncer, handcuffed the man, dragged him to the kitchen, and then repeatedly drove his steel-toed paratrooper boots into his groin and head. Shuro had been a cop for 15 years and had a long record of citizens' complaints against him, most of them about excessive force. I was dealing with animals, he would later tell a reporter when asked about the people he beat. I mean, my dog is more human than them. but he had never been disciplined. Now again, this is a guy on the police force, and these are the mentality of these police officers. Not all of them, but the majority of them. And I keep saying the majority because we have the disillusion that there's a few bad apples that's spoiling the barrel. No, this goddamn barrel is spoiled. Every time we put a few good apples in there, right, they become rotten, right? And the even smaller percentage who try to hang on as long as they can and try to do what's right and even expose the corruption, what do? They label them as being crazy. They try to destroy their career. Okay? So again, let's be honest about the truth. This is what we have to start to accept in this country, not just in the country, but around the world. Wherever you're at. If you're being targeted by the police, wherever you're at, stop thinking that there's a few bad apples. The whole damn barrel is rotten. Okay? We need to get rid of we need to try to take the few good apples that haven't turned bad out, throw away the damn whole barrel, okay, and start fresh. Okay? Because this is the mentality of people, and that's why we continue to have issues with the police shooting unarmed people. Okay? And particularly unarmed black men and women. But I do say unarmed people because they have killed, unarmed other groups of people also. But because of the percentile in terms of population of a certain group of people to police, murdering, assaulting, violating their rights. Okay, when you look at within that aspect of it, okay, they do off that to, especially here in America, to black and brown people. Okay? And the thing about it too is people tend to forget is that, like I heard this guy told me, he's on Facebook, he's on Facebook, he's on TIC, white guy. And he said to me, black people killed more cops. And I'm just laughing. And I'm laughing because they really believe that shit. Okay, not just those white, but white people in general, specifically here in America. They seriously, and again, you see how they lie, right? And again, it's the lie, they'll lie and lie and lie. So people start believing in the lie. When the facts are, the majority of police officers that get killed in America are vastly killed by white men. The vast majority, okay, are killed by white men. But they don't even want to hear that. And you can pull up the statistic and show them. They don't want to hear that, That's, and again, because they believe in this lie so much that it's taken hold of their being, right? The way of thinking, the way of life. Okay? It's just like, they will say like, black people are violent. But again, when you look at the history doesn't show that. Okay? So, we just have, like I said, the truth is very important, and the only way we're going to be able to get out of this stuff together is that if we start believing in the truth and understanding the truth. And this goes to a lot of these TIs who are Trump supporters. Like, seriously, the reason why you're a Trump supporter is because you're racist. Okay? But still, that doesn't, justify you being a TI. Okay? Because I hear a lot of these TIs right here in America talk about Trump this and Trump that, right? But Trump isn't doing anything for the TIs. When Obama was president, he wasn't doing anything for the TIs. When Bush was president, he wasn't doing anything for the TIs. When Clinton was president, he wasn't doing anything for the TIs. When Cheney was president, he wasn't doing anything for the TIs. Neither was Reagan. Okay? Carter, whatever. When I go back that far, I'm talking about TIs who were victims of non-consensual government experimentation. Right? So the victims of the MK Ultra, the victims of the radiation experimentation, the victims of the the aerosol spray in St. Louis, in the housing projects around St. Louis. Okay, the victims of the gas, being spread in the subways in New York and San Francisco. Right? You know what I'm saying? Nobody's talking about that shit. These kids living in in public housing with lead paint that had to breathe in lead fume, and as they were small children eating lead paint, right? I call them TIs too, right? So we just a new form of TIs because we've been experimented on with these so-called direct energy weapons and also with this psychological warfare, a PSYOPs program to destroy predators, right? So again, we have to start looking at these things and understanding the truth, right? And when you understand that, you start to look at things differently. You start to look beyond the veil. And when you start doing that, then you begin to become a little bit more clearer in thought, right? And a little bit more understanding, right? And not also that, but you become angry. You become angry enough to where, you want to start making some changes, even if it's just something real. You know what I'm saying? And this is why, see, when you believe the lie, you don't want to make changes because this is how they condition, this is how they program. They want you to be a certain way. When you understand the truth, they don't like that because they know if you understand the truth, changes are coming. If the majority of people around this world understand the truth, they know they are quite elite. Those in the high ups, even within the military, right? They know that change is coming. That's why they spend billions of dollars, decades, creating and developing weapons that can control people. And that's hard for a lot of these so-called non-TIs to understand it, right? But it's the absolute truth. It's not like and the funny thing is that they'll tell you, they'll say, oh, these things don't exist, but if you go onto the website, go to the TI website. So the only information you're going to find on is about the Russian technology, mind control technology. And if you're smart enough, you should say to yourself, well, shit, if the Russians have been developing this, right, then I know for a fact our government is developing this also, okay? Because trust me, and again, all you got to do is read that. There is a document in the Pfizer section that talks about how when the CIA, right, found out in 1960 that the Russians were microwaving the U.S. embassy, so they went to do some maintenance check and they picked up the signal, and then they identified the signal as a microwave signal on the electromagnetic spectrum scale, and instead, because the diplomats were complaining, they were having, psychological issues, right? They were getting cancer. And instead of pulling their diplomats out of that embassy, they left them there. They came back 2 years later, took blood samples, when the diplomats asked, why did I got, they're like, oh, it's like these feelings that you're having, it could be, something that they sprayed in the air and stuff like that. But they knew. And they left their people in harm's way. So you have to ask yourself, I thought you were in the military. I said, you go out and join the military, you go fight for America, right? Yet they'll experiment on you, okay? In Vietnam, they dropped Agent Orange, and they dropped it on their own soldiers. Right? So come on. Again, but they fill your head with this patriotic bullshit because they themselves are no fucking I'm sorry, I'm getting a little. They themselves are not patriots. The only patriots they are is patriots to the dollar, right? To the power that they have, and the fact that they can control people. It's all about control, right? So anyway, let me just. I kind of got sidetracked because I got so passionate about this shit. But anyway. So, right, so this cop, 15 years, right? He had all the citizens complained against him. Nothing was done. He said, I was dealing with animals. Viewing people as animals, okay? Right? So, it says here, a court found that Cyril had used excessive force against the student, and it awarded the student $700,000. Then the largest civil award settlement in the city history. But by then, Cyril had racked up 32 citizens' complaints though none have been sustained. The mayor finally fired him. So you see the extent that a person will have to go through, be put through, then sue. I mean, you know, in New York City, you guys can Google it. Google the total award that New York City has paid out to civilians who rights have been violated by police officers, right? Who police officers have killed people unjustly. Look at the numbers. And a lot of these police officers are still on the force. Okay, that's why they fought so hard for the information about these cops who rack up all these complaints of violating people's rights and harm people, right? The police union, had stepped in to block any effort from civilians to find out information about these police officers. Okay? Okay, but his absence from the police department was short-lived. With the help of his union, the Police Officers Federation of Minneapolis, Stewart applied to an arbiter who soon forced the city to rehire him with back pay. Okay? These arbitrators always rule in favor of the police. It's absolutely an utter BS, said Robert Fenn, an attorney representing the victim, and has sued the department dozens of times. A few months later, the police chief fired Stewart a second time for punching a black student in the face near the jukebox Saturday night bar after the same New Year's Eve party. So here he is. He assaulted a student. This is a white student first. The student sued the city, got $700,000. The mayor fired him. He went to the union. The union went through arbitration, and they hired him back. Then, a few weeks later, he punched another student in the face. Got fired a second time. Okay? Again, listen to this now. Again, the arbitrator forced the department to rehire him. Then Mayor Sharon Stiles Belton expressed her disappointment. Allegations of abuse around Mike Stewart do not help create a climate of trust and respect, she said. Stewart was rehired in 1997 and stayed on the force for nearly 2 more decades. Eventually, his boss put him in charge of the sex crime unit, where women accused his team of failing to investigate some of their rape cases. In 2008, Amber Mansfield said he ignored her complaint that a man she knew had choked and raped her. Sometimes victims have to take some responsibility for their decisions and the action, he told a reporter at the time. This is Stewart speaking, the officer, right? In 2009, after Stewart retired, an internal review found, an internal review found that 1,700 untested rape kits at the department dated back to the 1990s, right? And again, Stewart disputed this finding. 3 decades after Stewart beat the man at the bar, the Minneapolis police is fighting to protect other set of officers accused of violence. Okay? And, you know, I'm not going to continue reading this because it is infuriating. It is infuriating. I'm not just going to get mad at it. You know, I don't like to curse, but, you know, eventually. Because, again, I'm passionate about this stuff because the shit that these people have been doing to me, right? The cops, not just to me, but to RT, to Knight, to Roth, you know, to Nappy, you know what I'm saying, to every other TI out there. Okay? And this shit is ridiculous. These people, they get away with shit. They can do whatever they want to do. Right? And yet, these people follow these people as if they're God. Right? And I'll bring up this analogy because, you know, it is the one analogy that I can use so that people understand, okay, the mentality that is created within groups of people. Right? So, you know the history in America when it comes to slavery, right? Before slavery, you had indentured servants. You had black indentured servants who came by way of Great Britain, and then you have the white indentured servants, mostly were Irish, right? And so when the terms for the indentured servants was over, right? Because then sometimes it would be a long time because sometimes the plantation owner or the wealthy landowner would do things to try to keep the indentured servants into extending years of indentured servitude. Now, it's not slavery, so you have to understand and make a distinction, right? Indentured servants mean that you come into a contract with the landowner to work the land a certain amount of years, and at the end of your term, okay, you would get a piece of the land. But the white landowners, the wealthy white landowners, didn't want to keep that bargain. Okay? And, this goes into all the areas, so I'm not going to get into that. So now that these white individuals were coming to their term, they were like, well, we don't want to give these people, a piece of our land. Even when people work for years, sometimes 10 years, 20 years. So they decided, you know what? They're going to get rid of them. Get rid of the white land workers, and we're just going to use the blacks. On top of that, what we're going to do now, these so-called these black indentured servants who came from to Britain, Great Britain, we're going to now make them slaves. Okay, and now talking about we're going to go to Africa now and get black people from Africa, bring them here and make them slaves. Right? And so when they did that, the white the white out of work workers, the big servants, they were upset. Okay, and so what the white landowner says, the wealthy white landowner says to the poor whites, hey, I'll tell you what, you may not have a job, but guess what? You are better than these black people. And you can tell them what to do. You can even beat them, but as long as you don't hurt them to where they can perform their duty, I'm fine with that. And so now, because again, when people are in a position of despair, okay, what they, especially wealthy people, know is that if you feed them bullshit and you make them feel that they're important to somebody else, they will forget about their condition, and they won't blame you anymore. So now you give them somebody to look down on. And so now they transfer that blame to the people who you've told them to look down on. And that's what happened. Okay, now let's bring this into the fold. That's the day, STI. This is what's going on. So when you have these people out there, who might be in the same position in terms of economic, social status as you, right, participating in targeting you, right, participating in trying to take away your livelihood, stuff like that, right? They do it because they're being told that they're better than you, right? They've been told that they're more important than you. Understand that mindset and the people at the top know how to manipulate people, right? So now, again, we as TIs, we become a distraction, right? While they ignore the world that's crumbling around them. While they ignore the fact that, whatever little bit of money they're getting, they're happy with it because before they wasn't getting any. So we have become a job for them, right? For a lot of them. You have to understand this, okay? So we stop saying, I hate saying about, why do people involved in this? I just told you why. Yeah, okay, on top of other reasons. Right? So don't do this trivia about why. Accept it that they're doing it, okay, and understand and say to yourself, okay, what can I do to expose what's going on? What can I do so I can help myself deal with what's happening to me in a more constructive way in terms of that they will, that I won't fall into these traps that they've set before me. You know what I'm saying? And part of that, like I said, is to keep your circle small. As a TI, keep your circle small, right? And then go outwards. Don't have a big circle and then work inwards. Keep the circle small and work outwards. That way, everybody that you bring into your circle, you know that you can have some trust, right? And so this is what we have to do as target individuals. Okay. So yeah, that was the two articles that I kind of really wanted to read. But with the police department, and so when in my videos you see you'll see them. I'll show you them, and because again, this is what they do. The police department is a corrupt. It is an organized crime unit masquerading as law enforcement. They've always been that way. Okay. And if you study the history, again, we talk about history. Let's talk about the history of the police department. Okay? The history didn't come from people in America wanting to enforce the law. The history from the police department in America, okay, as well as around the world, okay, such as Great Britain also, is to capture runaway slaves. That's how you got the police department. From its inception, right? And then they branch on to other areas, okay? But their foundation has always been to catch runaway slaves. All right? So, but just want to talk a few moments to talk about my target going on. So, as I was saying in the beginning when I came on the site, they had put this floodlight, YPD floodlight, because I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. I left here on Monday, left here by Monday, and I walked outside, and there was a police vehicle there, and I saw a floodlight there. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? Then 2 days later, right, when I came back over here, there was a news van out front on the block, what have you. And again, there's anything of it because nobody was saying anything at all. And then Thursday, when I came over here, I saw, actually when I left, because in the morning I didn't see anything. When I left, they had like some makeshift candles up, like if somebody got killed or something like that, right? But I'm like, what? Didn't hear no gunshot. Didn't hear a whole bunch of police activity going on. But all of a sudden, they have all these... And I said, something just don't seem right. Something just seems very fishy. And these, like I said, they were orchestrating a lot of shit. Okay? And again, and sometimes, people may say, well, if you think they did all this because to target you, then, what makes you so important? And I keep saying this all the time to people who say shit like that. Okay? I said, so let me ask you a question. I said, what makes you so important that you're walking on the street and the police will stop you for no reason? You ask the police, what makes me so important that you're stopping me? And they said to me, no, it's because, maybe I'm racially profiled. I said, okay, well, why are you so important that they're racially profiling? And when I put it like that to them, then they begin to understand, right? You don't have to be important as a person with a weapon. You're some movie star, something like that, right? No. But if you are a threat to somebody, then you're important because they'll try to bring you down or take you out. Okay? So, I'm like, okay, so I saw this basic thing. I'm just like, what's going on? It's like, really, But again, I understand because I know that they have done things like this in the past in order for police presence to be close to where I'm at, right? So they have to create some legitimate reason, okay? And if somebody got killed or whatever over here somewhere, then I know it's the police that's doing it, okay? They planned it. All right? In Chicago, all right? And listen to this. They talk about Chicago all the time. It's on the news, President Trump you talk about Chicago, all that was happening in Chicago. I want you to go and Google, right, the 20 states that has the most murder. And then, I'm not going to tell you, I want you to go look it up. And then look at what number Chicago is at. And then look at which state has the highest capita per murder in the United States. Okay? Just go look it up. And then ask yourself the question. I'm not going to tell you the question. Just go ask yourself the question, because you already know. When you find out and you understand the truth, you would already know what to ask yourself. All right? So there are always, people tend to, I guess, like I said, one of the lead police officers and one of the lead government, and they would fail, they don't do this. I fought that shit within my own family when I first became a TI. Someone was experimented on by the government. They're like, well, the government doesn't do that. Why are you so important? Why, it's infuriating sometimes, right? But, this is how they condition the society. To totally ignore the truth. Also to entrap them into their criminal organization, their criminal entity, using money as a tool to get people, not just using money, but using their belief system also as a tool to get them to participate in some of the most egregious acts, right? That human beings can do to each other. Okay, so with that being said, let's turn it over to RT.
I just wanted to ask you, Nige, man, the article that you said that you were going to find and read.
Oh, yes. Sorry about that. I know I have to get this. So sorry. The article was on with the cops, what was it? The cops lying, right? And how they can get you to lie.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Okay, let me do that, man. Thanks for reminding me about that.
No doubt.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So here's something, man, that just really disgusted me also is that, during this time of COVID, you have landlords that are evicting people, right? So you have landlords that are evicting people in this time of COVID, knowing that people are out of work, they're not working. I watched a video of a police officer who he's, and this is the thing that saddens me, man, is that these so-called Christian people, this dude in law enforcement, this dude was going to kick out this 90-something-year-old black woman, right? But he was like, you know what? I have a heart. So he calls into the office, the landlord office, and says, listen, I'm not going to kick her out today because it's hot out here. But tomorrow we'll be back to kick out. And I'm just like, that's what you call you having a heart? You know what I'm saying? I want people to understand the type of these people mentality. And first of all, if I was a sheriff or a sheriff, there's no way in hell, right? I'm going to any of these people, particularly at this time, because some judge signed a warrant, okay, to say kick these people out because of what's going on. They don't even understand the repercussion of what they do. Not also that, but these landlords, right? These landlords, guess what? They're not going to be renting that apartment because a lot of people are out of work. So who are they going to rent it to? Right? Who are they going to rent it to? People are going to see in the next coming months, or even the next year, the repercussions of what is being done in terms of evicting people from their home during this time. Okay, and it is going to be a hard and sad lesson, and it's sad because the people who are being kicked out, it's going to be sad for them, but it's going to be a hard lesson for these so-called landlords. It's going to be a hard lesson for them. Now watch, they just made things 100 times worse for them, the landlords, than they did for the people who they evicted and kicked out. Okay, so here it is. This is from the Criminal Legal News. It says, from abuse of the body to abuse of the mind. Police use psychologically coercive interrogation techniques to produce false confessions. Okay? In mid-1997, Michelle Moore Basco was raped and stabbed to death in her Norfolk, Virginia apartment. Based on a tip from a friend of the victim, U.S. sailor Daniel Williams was brought in for questioning. After more than 11 hours of interrogation, Williams confessed to the murder and implicated several other men in their crime. Okay, you remember this part, right? He confessed and also that, but he implicated several other men in the crime, right? Investigators were able to obtain confessions from 3 of the alleged accomplices, right? Although they all told wildly different versions of what happened, Eric Williams, Joe Dick Jr., and Derek Strace was arrested and charged along with Williams for the rape and murder of Moore Bosco. Williams and Dick plead guilty in order to avoid the death penalty. Strace was convicted of murder, and Wilson was convicted of rape. Prosecutor obtained all 4 convictions solely on the strength of the sailor's confession. There was no physical evidence tying any of the men to the crime scene. Instead, the physical evidence that was obtained tended to rule out all 4 suspects. Right? So all 4 men are suspects, right? Again, the physical evidence obtained rule out all the 4 men as suspects. Additionally, investigators learned that, check this out, this is the kicker now, that another man, serial rapist Omar Ballard, had written a letter to a friend in which he confessed to committing the crime alone. Tests of DNA found at the scene matches Ballard. So how did the police get these men to confess to a crime that they didn't commit?
Coercive persuasion and manipulation.
Okay, there you go. The Innocent Project took on the case of the Norfolk 4 in 2005 based on clemency petitions filed on behalf of the men. Former Virginia Governor Tim Kaine granted conditional parole to Dick, Strace, and Williams in 2009. So why they have to be conditional? The men didn't do it. Okay? But again, it is because, you see, they do this thing because what it does is that it keeps these victims, right, from getting compensation. So they will screw you over, but then they don't want you to get compensated for the shit that they've done to you. Right? So, so the governor ordered the release of the 3 men, but did not fully exonerate them. Williams had already been released after serving 8 years for rape. When a federal judge ruled in 2016 that the 4 men were in fact innocent. Now check this out. Again, this is 2016. When did this shit happen? Let's go back. In 1997. Right? In 2005, the men, 3 of the men were granted conditional parole. And paroles, not just clemency, but paroles, right? Even though the person who committed the crime, the rape and the murder, right, was arrested. Okay? I'm telling you. So, like I said, the federal judge in 2016 ruled that the men were, in fact, innocent of the crimes. Then Governor Terry McAuliffe fully pardoned all the men, all of them. The saga of the Norfolk 4 reignited the national debate over a controversial issue in the criminal justice system: false confession. The issue of controversial. The issue is controversial because it seems to be common sense that an innocent person would never admit to a crime that he or she did not commit, right? And again, you have people out there talking about, oh, if the police stop you, what have you. You know, you got nothing to worry about. If you did, you know, the police will tell you that too, right? These motherfuckers will tell you, they're like, oh, why you seem so nervous? You know, if you're not doing anything wrong, then, you know, why are you nervous? Yeah, we're nervous, motherfucker, because we know y'all are criminal. Okay? And we know they are locking up black men for, you know, for nothing, really. Not for nothing, but the fact that, you know, they want to put you in the criminal justice to give you a record to ruin your future. This is what they've been doing for decades. Okay? So that's why, you know, we're nervous. Okay?
Not just that. Also because they know very well for being fucking murderers and shit.
Exactly.
Reaching for their fucking wallet or their ID.
Right.
And shit like that.
After, because there was a video of a guy that the cop told him, let me see your ID. He's like, okay, I'm going to get my ID. And he reaches into the vehicle to get his ID, and the cop shot him in the back. And the guy said, I was like, why'd you shot me?
See that shit?
Yeah.
That's why I gave that response right now. Because I see that. I know exactly what you're talking about, Nice. That is true.
Yeah, go ahead, Nice.
Yo, Night, pardon me, bro. Can you get closer, man? Because the loudspeaker is mad far, bro. Can't hardly hear.
I was saying, they didn't just shoot him, did they? Didn't they empty the whole magazine into him?
Well, that's another one, but this one, the guy told me, he was like, why you shoot me, man? You asked for my ID, I said I was going to get my ID, you shot me. And the cop was like, kind of all dumbfounded. He said, why you shoot me? The cop was like, I don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, seriously, that was the cop's response. You hear that shit on the video. This motherfucker said, I don't know. You know? So, again, you know, it should be just ridiculous. Like I said, it's right?
Considered it could have been the mind control technology possibly making that cop do that if he said I didn't.
I think it's how they train. It is possibility, but I think it's how they train. There's a book.
Seriously do that as well? Like they control them?
Yeah. But there's a book, right? There's a book called, I'm gonna say this is Arthur, you should get this book, man. It's written by a cop, right? This book is written by a cop, okay? And where is that here? Let me find it. It's called Breaking Ranks, right? By Norm Stamper. It says a top cop expose of the dark side of police. You gotta read this book. It explains a lot of stuff. Okay? So again, right? So innocent people, right, will confess the crime they didn't commit. Right? And they always say like, well, if you confess to the crime, then you're guilty, right? Remember in the 80s, that was a big thing? If you confess, you're guilty. Right? So, the false confession, the issue is controversial because it seems to be that common sense is why innocent people would admit the crime they never commit. But in this case, common sense is belied by objective evidence. Not only do false confessions happen, they are frequent cause of wrongful conviction. Frequent, right? Not few, frequent. What's more, the false confession given by defendants who were later exonerated almost certainly represent the tip of the iceberg, right? In a classic 2004 study, law professor Stephen A. Drizzen and social scientist Richard A. Leo examined 125 cases involving probable false confessions. Fewer than half of these false confessions involve exoneration. In fact, again, let's say they look at 1,000 cases, right? And let's say 400 of those cases were false confessions. That's a lot. You know what I'm saying? And they will exonerate, right? So then you may have like another 200 or so that were also false confession, but these people haven't been exonerated. So what does that tell you? That tells you there's a lot of people sitting in prison, right, for crimes, being convicted for crimes that they didn't do. Okay? I mean, this is ridiculous, right? So And it's in fact, the most of the cases reviewed by the Drism study, charges were dropped or never filed because other evidence indisputably established that the suspect was innocent of the crime despite confessing. Okay? Common sense aside, people do confess the crimes that they did not commit. But how does this happen? And why would someone make such an indisputable poor decision? Social scientists have conducted considerable research on this issue, and the results are in. False confessions are nearly always the result of improper interrogation techniques used by law enforcement officers. The primary psychological cause of most false confession is the investigators' use of improper coercive, you said this, RT, coercive interrogation techniques, wrote Drism and Leo. Although the phenomenon of interrogation-induced false confession is counterintuitive, it can be easily understood once the technique, logic, and effect of modern interrogation are methodically analyzed and explained. Development of the American criminal interrogation technique. Law enforcement officers charged with solving crimes and identifying perpetrators have many tools at their disposal, from forensic examination of biological material to gumshoe detective work. Criminal investigators leverage the power of the state to gather evidence of what happened and who was responsible. Historically, no tool has proven more effective than the interrogation of a suspect. According to the Webster interrogation, is to question formally and systematically. Up until the mid-20th century, American criminal investigators routinely exceed this definition when interrogating suspects. Physical evidence generally accompanies such questioning, and it even had the name, the third degree. According to Grisham's study, third-degree interrogation techniques involve significant physical violence such as beating, punching, kicking, or mauling a suspect. So they physically abuse people. And we see this in Chicago at Holman Square. We see this here in New York. You know, as well as psychological torture. Okay? Some method of physical torture included the sweat box, placing a suspect in a small cell directly adjacent to a scorching hot stove. The water cure, dunking suspect, or what is called, what do you call it now? Waterboarding, right? Do shit like that. Okay? Placing suspect in water, placing a water hose in their mouth, or waterboarding the suspect, like I said. And the electric monkey, using a large battery to apply a non-lethal shot to a suspect. Right? So this is shit that police do all the fucking time. All the time. Now they're using, you know, microchips and direct energy weapons that can hit you with, you know, microwave signals. And it's not just for investigating purpose, but it's to discredit you or to try to destroy your career. Okay? And it's the government that's doing this shit and putting it in the hands of these criminals. Okay? So, psychologically abusive technology of O, including rubber hose amplification, extended incommunicado interrogation, or food and sleep deprivation. Unsurprisingly, the third degree was highly effective in seducing confession, both false and legitimate. As the country matured, reformers began to push for a more humane interrogation practice. It wasn't until 1936 that the Supreme Court first tossed a confession obtained via torture in Brown versus Mississippi, 297 U.S. 278, which marked the beginning of the end of the systemic use of explicit physical violence in the interrogation. And we know that up until today that that's not true. Okay, we know this. Okay. So things like, you know, remember we have this law against entrapment. They threw that out the window. Now police can lie to you, and it's in their it's in their court. So they have rewritten what they can do so they can get away with a lot of shit. Okay. Modern interrogation technique focus almost entirely on the use of psychological coercion. Again, Investigators use threats and promises, as you were saying, RT, to manipulate suspects. A suspect may be threatened with more charges, the certainty of rape in prison, or the death penalty. Promise often includes assurance of leniency or better treatment by the authorities. Today, the most widely used standardized interrogation system is the Reed technique. The Chicago-based firm John E. Reed and Associates Incorporated trains law enforcement agencies nationwide using criminal interrogation and confession. Indu Reed, Berkeley and James, 2013. Social psychologist Saul M. Cason broke down the two-step Reed technique in his article, Falsified Confession, Cause, Consequences, and Implications for Reform. Okay? Now, I'm going to stop this here, and I'm going to give the link to RT. We're going to post it on the YouTube video. It's a lot going on. It's a lot. And, you guys definitely read up on it. And also, I'm going to also read up on this article, too, about false confession, cause, consequences, and implication of reform. I'm going to copy this so I can look this up myself. Okay? And but this is something that is troubling, deeply, deeply troubling. And police get away with this stuff all the time. Okay, to the point where innocent people are in prison. Yeah, they could pick up crimes with you. Now, if this shit don't make you angry, okay, along with other things, then you've been zombified. Sorry to say.
Much appreciated, Nigel. For real, man. That was definitely on the money. That was something that needed to be shared. I hope people look into it, as I will put the links to the articles within the description box regarding that particular last segment that you had broken all that down. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad that it was found, because it's something that some people would disagree with, or come out quickly to jump to the police defense, as you would say, Nigel. And I'm not saying that there aren't a few cops, as you said, that are good, but the majority of them are rotten to the core as far as the whole bunch, man. And it is what I've lived it. My experience has been as such. I know many others that have had the same experience, the majority black and brown, some white, and it's the same story. It's the same story. So I'm glad that we have down confirmation of such a thing, where the police are shown to be liars, and that they can get away with lying to you while you're under their custody and under arrest if they want to try to pin some sort of crime on you. Yep. And the coercive persuasion tactics and manipulation that they use is, through technicalities, a tool that they use, and they weaponize it against black and brown people for the most part. And with that being said, I'm just gonna wait. Go ahead. Nice.
No, I just said most definitely.
No doubt, man. At this point, I'd like to offer either yourself or Knight something that they want to either add, that they either forgot, or want to just say last for the call, because I'm about to shut the call down. Nigel, anything you want to say?
No, man. I mean, that's just it. I just want to curse right now. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't gonna do that, man. It's really infuriating, man. And every time like the more stuff that I research and find out, like the angry I get. Because these people definitely are criminals, man. Like I said, they're a criminal entity. That's basically it, man. Whether it be the police department, the CIA, the FBI, anyway, let me add this, right? Because it's funny how there's an article that says, the FBI has been warning, mayors and cities of white supremacist infiltration within the police department. Okay. But what about the FBI?
Never worse.
Exactly, bro. So that's that's the ironic shit, bro. That's why I'm like, people don't even understand, man. It's like, they want you to focus on the white supremacists in the police department. They don't want you to focus on the white supremacists in the FBI or the CIA, right, or the Department of Justice, right? Okay, and those are the higher up law enforcement agencies. That's where we need to root those motherfuckers out first, okay? And then we can deal with the ones in the police department also.
That's the lower down. If the corruption at the top levels isn't settled, it will change.
Exactly. It's not going to change. Yeah, they're gonna root out some of them in the lower level, but guess what? There's still a vast majority of them that's in the lower level also. But if you root out the ones at the top, right? If you root out the ones at the top and you put other people in position, then the ones at the bottom, they're going to think twice. Okay?
Yeah, I mean, if the corruption's at the highest level, it doesn't matter how many lower levels you check. Eventually, it will get corrupted again.
So, yes. Yeah.
Like having Hitler in charge and saying, "Oh, we need to change the soldiers," but Hitler's still in charge.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any difference because those soldiers are still going to follow the orders, aren't they?
Exactly.
Do what Hitler says, pretty much.
Yo, Knight, you got anything else you want to add on, bro, before I shut the call down?
Not really. I can't think of anything. I just want to say, get prepared for a possible second lockdown because over here the cases are increasing a lot. So I'd say, get stocked up on food and stuff like that if you can, just in case things get bad. Because the first problem we had with this was in the spring, whereas now we got to go through the winter. So I'd get prepared for what might happen. Hopefully it won't be too bad. It's definitely showing signs now that it's increasing. So who knows what's going to happen, man? But yeah, that's definitely something to keep an eye on.
Appreciate you for putting that out there, man. Over here, we're gonna go into fall soon. So I heard about some second wave that was supposedly coming around the corner as well. They probably will use that as a form of a camouflage to blend in what they had planned in for that, and use any sort of seasonal issues that come up. Like in the springtime, it's usually the hay fever and the fucking pollen and all that shit. Then when it goes into the fall, you got close to the flu season. Where winter comes in, that's the flu season for real right there. Yeah. But the fall, you're going to have little tidbits of that, where they're going to probably use that as a way to camouflage certain things about COVID-19 testing sites popping up even more and offered even more and shit like that. Other than that, man, I'd like to thank everybody for being on the call tonight. Nappy had roots. He's not with us right now because he must have gotten booted off from way earlier. That's why Nappy usually gets the first segment to make sure he gets his documentation in and anything else he wants to say. Thanks to Nigel Nicholson for the articles, as usual. You always throw in that fire stuff, man. Stuff that people really need to research and look into, man. Because, man, shit is deep. And of course, man, last but not least, Matter Thunder, thank you for your documentation and your input as usual. You know what I'm saying? We will be back the following next weekend with another episode. Stay tuned, y'all. Loyal listeners listening in, thank you for staying tuned and continue to do so. We got more in store. Stay safe, stay strong, and keep looking forward, man. Keep your eyes on the prize, as I say. Keep your focus on what you're doing. Just try to stay as positive as possible, and don't allow these motherfuckers to take your joy away. With that being said, have a good night and a good week up ahead, y'all. Stay strong. This is RTI in New York City. Signing out.
Peace out.
Yeah. Guess who it is? Hey, yo, Dre. I think they in trouble. Woo! Scott Storch. Why you have to do it like this to him? Feels like a new day. Listen. Now every time I come and I hit you niggas with shit, regardless, you get retarded and the niggas ain't got a clue on how the fuck I do what I do and say what I say and spit what I spit. You ain't never even got a question who. Cause you know that I'm the only nigga that could ever come and spitefully turn the place into a motherfucking zoo. Then I come and I spit crazy shit and make niggas do exactly what I want them to. From my point of view, instead of trying to step up, you're still trying to play catch up and keep up with the way a nigga grew. These niggas panic and fret and get schizophrenic and let their emotions out, and I doubt they could ever test my crew. Take a second, check it, I reckon my records are better than whatever record you recorded, that's why your shit is true. You fucking idiot, I don't think you get it, I'm one of the greatest ever, period, every syllable is true. Now if you ain't ballin', you ain't handicapping your vision, I think it's simple and I think that it's really plain to see. No matter how much you try, no matter how much you make an effort, you niggas can never ever really fuck with me. Cause I'll hurt you, and I will learn you a thing or two. And I'll hurt you, and I'll finish your career for you. I'll
Sit on a mic and do my doodle. You do not have a fighting chance to move. You were covered in my poo-poo, smothered in my manure while I spit saliva fluid. Goop secluded you. You don't have a clue as to what we're about to do you? So just sit back and watch, something you just gon' happen. So you just made me sneeze, I'm allergic to beats like these. Please excuse me, my allergies are acting up, thanks all I've got. You're probably wondering why there's thunder and everyone is running and ducking up under everything up on the block. Cause bust and flip mode just tiptoed into the building with shady quietly, trying not to start a riot with Doc. But since we all been spotted, we might as well have a party. So gather round, everybody, come on, let's get our drink on. And you ain't got to do nothing special for this occasion. Just reach in your closet, pull something on and get to the club.
Now if you ain't ballin', you ain't handicapping your vision, I think it's simple and I think that it's really plain to see. No matter how much you try, no matter how much you make an effort, you niggas can never ever really fuck with me. Cause I'll hurt you, and I will learn you a thing or two. And I'll hurt you, and I'll finish your career for you. I'll catch you niggas and snatch you niggas, you bunch of bumbling fools. You got me rumbling dudes all the way down the block. Keep them stumbling and jumbling over their words and vowels. Don't win the time, we'll see you niggas is on the clock. And you running out of time, see I'm tired of all your mumbling, the nigga, I got it locked. Every single time you put my shit in the CD player and turn up the volume, you bang your head because the shit is not. I continue with crumbling niggas and tumbling niggas. You struggle while I humble a nigga with the Glock. Then I watch you while I keep a fumbling while I got you trembling for one of my niggas. Bust your head with a rock. Before I start to do another thing that to make you crown me the king with such a butter swing, nigga, follow the flock. Now watch my brother bring all my diamonds to summer bling while I'm climbing and fuck a fling. Tell your bitch to get off my job. Now if you ain't ballin', you ain't handicapping your vision, I think it's simple and I think that it's really plain to see. No matter how much you try, no matter how much you make an effort, you niggas can never ever really fuck with me. Cause I'll hurt you, and I will learn you a thing or two. And I'll hurt you, and I'll finish your career for you. I'll